Good evening. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ismael, and my research topic is on the Bracero program and its impact on women and families. The Bracero program was created to offset labor shortages in the farming industry. They were a result of men serving overseas in World War II. On April 4th, 1942, the U.S. and Mexico signed a bilateral agreement to allow Mexican laborers to work in the U.S. on a seasonal basis. The program lasted 22 years, from 1942 to 1964, and issued over 4.6 million contracts. The program benefited farmers and laborers, but it had many issues along the way. Labor disputes, contract valuations, abuse of workers, and family separations. To understand the origins of the Bracero program, we must look at the history of the farming industry in California and the Good Neighbor policy. In 1930s, farmers from Dust Bowl states, Oklahoma and Arkansas, moved to California to work in the farming industry. By 1935, farmers created labor camps using government subsidies to increase their productivity. While in these labor camps, Americans experienced hardships due to mistreatment by the growers. The Good Neighbor policy began back in the 1920s to improve relationships by promoting mutual respect among the American nations. The Bracero program was a good example of what the Good Neighbor policy was all about, a program that benefited both countries economically and solidified their relationship as political allies. A sector of the Catholic Church opposed the Bracero program because the workers had limited mobility and were subject to abuse. In 1959, Archbishop Robert E. Lucy called on his fellow parishioners to do everything in their hands to help with labor situations because it was a scandal and international crime. The Bracero program targeted men with families because the administrators believed that if the men had family ties at home in Mexico, it would ensure that the man would return after his contract was over. The lack of government financial support from the Bracero program limited the money being sent to Mexico to families. The program took the laborers away from their families for long periods of time and eventually left their families and created new community networks. Their women, wives, mothers were left behind to cope on their own and had to find ways to provide for themselves and their children. Despite the obstacles, women filled jobs outside their homes, managed family finances, and started family businesses. Further, many young women moved out of their respective small towns and went to work to cities that offer more skilled jobs in offices, shops, and government positions. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.